This is an interview of Nat Martino, longtime resident of Lafayette, by Betsy Wilcuts for the Lafayette Historical Society, May 1975.
I was a farmer over there. We had a little ranch, and my father was a mason, and I was taking a mason, a bricklayer. He was a small contractor to build fixing houses, and because all the houses there is all mortar and rock. Is not any wooden houses.
Now, is this in Genoa?
Near Genova, yes.
Uh-huh.
Not in Genova, not in the city. But we was about something like 30 miles from Genova,
Mm-hmm.
in a country, in the country. And we was making our own wine and raise our own crop, potato, wheat, and all the vegetables we could use.
Mm-hmm.
Then my father died from a sunstroke. Yeah, he got a sunstroke when he was working on the school building, and there was such a hot weather that he got a sunstroke.
Now, how old were you when this happened?
That was about 19 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and my father died within 5 days,
Mm.
and I did work with my family. My brother was already here in this country, and I had a sister over there, and I still got a sister over there.
You were telling me she's almost 90 years old?
Yeah, 89. You're going to be 89 next in June.
Now, did you just have one brother and one sister?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then I was thinking to come in this country here because my brother was already here, and I left my mother and my sister there, and I came in this country in 1912.
Now, let's go back a little bit. Why did your brother come to this country?
Well, every young man want to see America.
Uh-huh.
Every man would like to see America. There was a place for opportunity, and he came here in 1907.
In 1907.
And I came here in 1912. I was 23 years old.
And when your brother came, did he plan to live here, to settle here?
Well, I don't know if he intend to stay here all his life or not, but he did just the same, stay in this country until he died. About 5 years ago, he was 84 years old.
My goodness. Where did he live in this area? Or?
He lived in Oakland. He lived all his time in Oakland.
And what did he do?
He was working for the Southern Pacific.
As an engineer? Or?
No, he was for a laborer.
Uh-huh.
Labor.
Had he heard about the jobs on the railroad before he came here, or did he just...
Well, I don't think he did ever hear about the railroad, but he went to work for the railroad, and in the beginning he was working on the track, on the railroad track. Then later on he was working in the in the warehouses where they loading or unloading,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a job to keep some books down there to check. He was a checker, like, and he worked until he retired. He retired about when he was 67 years old,
Mm.
and he retired and he was living down there with his wife and daughter.
Mm-hmm. What was his name? Yes.
Jim.
Jim.
Jim
Hmm.
Martino.
Uh-huh.
And he was coming in the ranch here to help me out too now and then. Especially when picking fruit or picking grape. I had all the grape. And he was making wine from the grape that we had here.
When you came from Italy, did you bring any grapes with you, or
No.
just
No, I just came.
Nat? Did you come to visit your brother? Was that your idea?
Oh yeah. You see, the only idea to see my brother here because when you come in this country and you don't know a word of English, it's a hard proposition.
Yes.
Now, when I came here, he was working in Oakland, and he worked all his life in Oakland, and he kind of helped me out until. Until he got married in Oakland, and I got married in Oakland too, in 1914.
1914. And you came over here in 1912
Yeah,
on a ship.
on a ship, and from New York here on the train.
Oh, on the train.
Yeah, and then I got married. And I worked in Oakland. I was washing window down in Oakland for about 7 years.
Hmm.
And 1919, I came. We bought this ranch here, and I had already 3 children, and one Jimmy was born in the ranch here, and I came here in 1919.
Out to Lafayette.
Into Lafayette, yeah.
Uh-huh. How did you decide to move out of Oakland?
Well, I tell you, I want to go in a ranch because I knew more about ranching than washing window. Washing window, we make a very, very little money. We was making, $50 or $60 a month. That wasn't enough to feed our family. And I came in the ranch here. We didn't make much money in the beginning neither, but at least we had all the milk. We had 5 cows. We had all the fruit we could use because I was making my living on fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And I take from here, was taken it in Oakland to the wholesale place.
How would you get the fruit from here to Oakland? Would you?
Well, I bought it as soon as we came here. I bought a little Model T Ford truck,
Uh-huh.
and then I was taking the fruit on the truck. I never really. Somebody was still driving the team in Oakland through the old tunnel, and but I never did driven the team because I had a little truck. But we was using the, the, the team in the ranch here until about 1927. Then I bought a tractor. I was working the tractor in the best place, and then the steep place I was working with the team.
Oh, so you kept both, really?
I kept both for quite some time. Then Louis bought a Caterpillar tractor, and I sold my tractor because he was doing better job and quicker job than I was doing. He was helping me out with his tractor.
What year would that be?
That would ever be something like 1935.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what kind of tractor yours was?
Yeah, Fordson.
A Fordson?
Fordson tractor. Yeah.
Oh. Nat, going back, I want to talk more about the farming, but going back, where did you meet your wife, your first wife?
I met my first wife in Oakland. I was washing window down there, and she was working for the Hale brother.
Uh-huh.
It's a department store down there. And she worked down there in the store there 9 years.
Now, was she born in Oakland?
She was born in San Francisco. And she saw the earthquake from over there. She was in the earthquake then.
Oh, right in the bad?
Right, the bad spot there.
Uh-huh.
Well, everything burned down. And they move in Oakland. They have to move in Oakland because no houses, hardly any houses there left.
Was that her whole family moved to Oakland?
And she had only a father and mother.
Mm-hmm.
She was the only daughter, only daughter.
What was her name?
Mary.
Mary
Porgy.
Mary Porgy.
And I met her while she was working down there. I was working nearby. And I met her, and then in time we got married. And we got married in 1914. And Louis was born 1915.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Out there. Nat, what did Mary's father do for work? Do you remember that?
Oh, exactly, I don't know. I don't quite remember. He died before we got married.
Oh, uh-huh.
He died in the meantime. I think he was a scavenger.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was working for the scavenger company, something like that.
Do you think he did the same kind of work in Oakland that he'd done in San Francisco when they moved?
Well, when they moved in Oakland, I don't think he worked anymore because he was an old man already.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, I don't think he was working in the earthquake time neither. I think he was already retired. Because he was quite an old man.
Did your wife tell you much about the earthquake? Do you remember?
Yes, she said quite a few things, but everything was destroyed. They just got by to get on they collect some clothes or something, and then they bought a boat to come in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
And then in short time they bought a house in Oakland.
Did they know people in Oakland that they could stay
I
with?
don't think so.
Uh-huh.
I don't think so. Then we happened that she said that she knew some people, that the old people was coming from the same town back in Italy. But when they came right in Oakland, they hardly knew anybody there, and they bought a house down in West Oakland.
Do you know how many people lived in Oakland when you arrived there?
No, I don't.
Was it a large city or a pretty?
Was a large city, but the most street was still gravel. Wasn't hardly lots of street was only gravel. They wasn't paved yet.
Uh-huh.
Lots of them.
And did you still see a lot of horses along with the cars, or mostly cars at that time?
Well, the car was quite a few, yes, but wasn't many.
Mm-hmm.
Was only few. But the people, hardly any people had a car.
Mm-hmm.
Only the rich people had some car
Mm-hmm.
those days.
And so other people still had their horses and their carts?
Well,
and
yes, sure. They still was going on the buggy and on the buses, on the streetcar. The bus wasn't running yet.
Mm-hmm.
There was no buses, but there was a streetcar the most, and then little by little, some small buses come to take the people from West Oakland to the store, to the center of the city, or from East Oakland. They used to get ride in the Southern Pacific for the streetcar
Mm-hmm.
from East Oakland, and it wasn't so many machines those days. Now it's even too many.
Right. Nat, do you remember the address? Did you lived with your brother when you first came to Oakland?
No, I was living in a private home.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the street at all, or the
Yeah,
area?
it was. I think it was for 400 Castro Street.
Hmm.
Castro.
Now, when you would go to work, would you take the streetcar, or?
No, I was taking bicycle.
Oh.
Yeah, I got some bicycle down there, then I was going to work down there.
Did you work for a company, or would you go out on your own and
Yeah, we was a few boys that we worked together. Was some kind of a company,
Mhm.
yeah, or some we was all partners.
Very good. Now, we'll get you out to Lafayette, and this was 1919.
Yeah.
And who did you buy this property from? Did you buy what you own, the entire piece of land when you moved out here, or did you add to it?
Well, happened to be two owners. Mr. Close, he had 10 acres here. When the other party, we bought it from a loan association, the 80 acres, and we bought a 10 acre from Mr. Close. We made almost, you could say, the same deal, because we made two deals for that matter, but we bought it at the same time. Mr. Close, they said that he was living in this house here. And
This house we're
in this
in.
house, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And he decided to sell when the other people selling, he would sell the same time, because otherwise, if the other people was moving, was selling, he have to move away from the house. There was no other house there.
His was the only house in this
Yeah.
area.
Well, was another house on the little knoll there where Louis got his house now, but he didn't own it. He didn't own it, and the house was vacant. He was living only here with his sister.
Now, was he a farmer? Did he?
He was farmer, yeah. Yeah, he was taking the fruit to Oakland like I done afterwards.
Uh-huh. And how many people lived in Lafayette at that time? Do you have any idea?
Well, exactly I don't know, but I think it was about 300. It was only farm here and there, and Lafayette is concerned, I don't think it was more than 30 people in Lafayette, right in the town.
Uh-huh. It wasn't much of a town then.
It was only about a dozen buildings.
Oh, when you and this was in 1919.
I think, yeah.
What sort of buildings? Do you remember what was there?
Yeah,
then?
it was a hotel. And I don't think I got it.
Do you remember the name of that hotel?
I think it's here, right? The Wayside Inn. I think it used to call it Wayside Inn. It used to be here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Must to be someplace here.
And
Okay,
that they
yeah.
were using that as a hotel then.
Yeah. There was a saloon in the hotel. Salon.
In the front.
I don't know if it is. I think it was a little. I think it was a little restaurant too, because yeah, it was a restaurant, hotel, restaurant and salon. Yeah, that's it, right there.
Would you go there often, or
No.
was that mainly for travelers to?
Yeah, it was the people that come in Lafayette. The most was coming yet with the buggy, but some people from Oakland would start to come with the car.
Mm.
And but I don't. Of course, I don't. Then it was another. Was a little post office. The post office here someplace. Oh no, here's the tunnel. Here's the tunnel. You never saw that.
Well, that's all right.
I think I had that.
Was the post office in a store, or was it?
Oh, no, it was a little shack. About
Oh, this is the picture of Mr.
Yeah,
Thompson's.
Peter Thompson.
And you were telling me about his.
Well, I never knew him. I knew his son. His son when I after I came here, I needed some blacksmithing, some work from the blacksmith, and I went. He was already dead, and I was going to Bill Thompson.
And was he in the blacksmithing business at that
Yeah,
time?
he was in blacksmithing, but you see, I never knew Peter Thompson because he was there long before I came in in Lafayette.
Mm-hmm. Now, did Bill Thompson stay in that business long? Or?
Oh yeah, until he died.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
And then you were telling me he had one son. Is that right?
yeah. He had one son who became a judge of Walnut Creek.
And he's still living.
Still living. He's still living in Concord. He is retired. This one must be North Lafayette.
Oh, this is the railroad, the Sacramento Northern.
Yeah.
This was near Birdhaven at the end of School Street. It must have been the little station.
Yeah, it was just a little station there. Yeah. In fact, there was two stations. It was Lafayette and West Lafayette and Lafayette. See?
Now this is West Lafayette.
West.
Mm-hmm.
And that was near the schoolhouse, near the end of that. You say what it was? School Street.
School Street.
And the other one was in the other side of the town. The other little station was two stations. The other was in the toward Walnut Creek. In the end of the town was no town. There was only ranch.
Now, was the railroad here when you moved out there?
Oh yeah. The children was using to go to high school in Concord.
Oh. Mm-hmm. And when I'm curious, how did you decide to settle in Lafayette?
Well, the first thing, I had a cousin here that he was farming. Sometime I did come to see him, and then I want to buy a little farm because I didn't like to work in the city anymore. I like the country, and that way I come up to see him several times, and then was this place here that we are still here for sale, and we bought this place here.
Now, where was your cousin doing his farming, and what was his name?
Down there where the Akalani High School.
Mm-hmm.
That place down there used to belong to a Dr. Hunsaker.
Uh-huh.
Hunsaker. And then he moved away from there. He went back. He went in Oakland to work in Oakland in some place into wholesale place down there where they were selling fruit and vegetables.
Now, what was his name?
Was Johnny Stramalia.
And how long did
He had his family here too, but they moved in Oakland, all of them, from the place. Then within a few years they built the Akalani High School.
Do you know how long he lived out here?
Well, I think he lived about, I would say, 10 or 12 years.
Mm-hmm. Farming.
Farming. Let's see, maybe longer, maybe 15 years.
Now, when you would come to visit him, would you come by train?
By train. Yeah. We was taking we was going as far the 40th and Shasta, 40 shaft, and we take the train from down here.
What was the trip like? Was
It was on the electric train,
electric train?
yeah. And then we get down to on the Indian side of Lafayette, and we walk off from there to my cousin down there. Then, when we bought our place, then I never come up with a train anymore because we were using our truck.
Mm-hmm.
The truck until 1929. Then I bought the first Chevrolet.
A truck too?
No,
Oh, a car.
no, that was a car. Oh, yeah, that
oh.
was the first 6-cylinder car that the Chevrolet was making.
Did that turn out to be a good car now?
Well, yes, I used it for about 75,000 miles.
Oh.
And I used it for quite some time. And then to go to in Walnut Creek or go to Oakland, we used to use our truck.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you drove into Oakland, how long would it take you? How long would the trip?
Oh, it take a little better than an hour.
Mm-hmm. Were the roads?
The road was small, so many turns, and the upper tunnel it was narrow, was only 2 lanes. And we went there. It take about 1 hour.
Were there gas stations, or would you take your own?
No, yeah, we was buying the gas from the Standard Oil. They deliver in the ranch.
Oh, uh-huh.
They deliver in the ranch. We start to get some friend that told me that if we buy from the Standard, that we could get a little cheaper than in the station. Was hardly any station.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I don't think there was any station in Lafayette.
Uh-huh.
And then we used to buy from where they had their office down in Walnut Creek. They had a station.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, we was buying from the Standard Oil
Uh-huh.
for good many years.
Now, Nat, this place right here, it was what was the man's name that you bought it from?
The Mr. Close, Herbert Close, he had 10 acres there. And he wanted to sell them.
Mm-hmm.
When the other party was selling the big part, the 80 acres, he told them that he would sell together.
Now, did Mr. Close build this house?
No, the house here used to belong to a man by the name Fred Easton.
Eastern?
Easton. He had his family here, and I know he stayed here for a long time. But exactly a long time, I don't know. But a daughter was born here to Fred Easton, and I know that I met her when she was married already. A long time.
Did you ever meet him, or was he?
Mr. Easton, yeah, he came several times in this place here. When I was already here, when I was living here, he came several times.
And he was the one that built the house.
Really, I think the house was built by his father.
Oh.
The house was built by his father, I think, 1872.
1872?
Yeah.
It's really an old house.
Now, exactly, if Mr. Easton was here, that is the one that he built in 1872, or not, I'm not sure about it, but the house was a record in the basement, that was built 1882. Did I say it was 1880? 1872.
In the basement, there's
The
a,
basement was a record, yeah,
Oh.
but now it disappeared because they aged too much.
oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been here now until I'm gonna leave this place. Yeah, when they carry me away from here.
That'll be a long time, I hope.
Oh.
Nat, I was on this picture of the hay. Was any of this property ever planted in hay or grain or anything like that?
We had we didn't had any for sale. See, we had a big barn up here, and we was put them all in for the cow and for the horses.
Mm-hmm.
We
You would
had,
grow your own.
Yeah, our own hay.
Where?
We had about 15 acres in hay.
Down around where our house was, or
No,
up in the
no,
hills?
Up in the hill.
Uh-huh.
Up in the part where the brown, where the Bob on the hill, where the lake, and who's live there near where the Mr. John used to live? You remember Harding John?
Oh, yes, I know that family, but,
Would be there, in the little book there.
that was up where the Dunns live now.
Yeah, we was planting hay as far as there.
How far up did your property go? Did it go beyond Blackhawk Road?
Between where?
Did your property extend beyond what's now Blackhawk Road?
No. We was in the left-hand side going up of Springhill Road,
Mm-hmm.
and we had the boundary line was used to be a place that Mr. Hink bought in 1922. Mr. Spiegel was there living. No, he didn't live there. He bought the ranch, but somebody was working for for Mr. Spiegel,
Mm-hmm.
and we was the boundary line was the fence there between Mr. Spiegel and this place that used to belong to Fred Easton. And the place is between Mr. Burralo, that was already here before, you know them.
Over on
there.
Release Court.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Between the Burralo and Mr. Spiegel, that is the 90 acres there.
Mm-hmm. Now, was Ken Brown here when?
No.
No, he
Ken-
bought after you.
No, that is the property that used to belong to the Burralo.
Oh.
See, when I knew him, he was working. He was in what is that road over there? Relizzo Valley. When I met him, he was living on Relizzo Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And he bought this place there from the Burralo when they built the little schoolhouse down there,
Oh, Springhill School.
Springhill School. Then he bought the hill, while the county bought the place in the bottom where they built the Springhill School.
Mm-hmm. Nat, who was your nearest neighbors? Would it have been the Barallos or?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the nearest neighbor was the Burralo.
And how many other people were?
Well,
Was Springhill Road
no,
here?
Springhill, I put the name of Springhill Road
You
myself.
You did?
Yeah.
Was there a road at all or?
No, it was a neighborhood road.
Uh-huh.
It was a gravel road,
Uh-huh.
or in fact, it was dirt road.
Uh-huh.
And Mr. Taylor, that he had a place up in the canyon, he started to bring some rock to go into his place. And then little by little, we put rock, we help out with the rock, and otherwise it was a dirt road.
Now, where was Mr. Taylor's place?
Mr. Taylor is in the Buckeye Ranch. It used to belong to Mr. Taylor.
Oh, I see. Way at the end of the road.
In the end of the road, and where all those houses there above Mr. Hink used to belong to Mr. Taylor. Well, it was a little place in the canyon there that used to belong to somebody else. I don't quite remember the name right now, but as soon as you turn the turn after Mr. Hink, it was somebody that they had about 20 acres in the canyon,
Mhm.
something like that. I don't quite remember the name.
Was Mr. Taylor a rancher too?
No, he was a fellow from Berkeley,
Mm-hmm.
and he bought that place there.
So along that road, how many houses would you say?
Well, it was 14 houses from the Monte Diablo Boulevard to the Relizzo Valley, to the top of the node there, Relizzo Valley,
Mm-hmm.
and Springhill Road was no name, but I put the name because it was the place that he used to belong to. The place where Mr. Hink now
Mm-hmm.
used to be a name, Springhill Farm.
Oh.
Springhill Farm.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, I thought I'm going to put that name there when the county, I think it was the county, they told me that what the name should be put up to those roads there, Martino Road and the other road. I said, why don't you put the Springhill Road? Because of the ranch was a Springhill Farm, and Martino Road because I was living here alone.
That's a nice.
What the-
Yes. Nat, do you know who owned Springhill Farm before Mr. Hink?
Yeah, it was Mr. Spiegel.
Oh, yes, you were telling
Yeah.
me that was the.
But it used to belong to somebody else. Used to belong to a man by name Redford. But I never met him.
Mhm.
I think he bought it from Mr. Spiegel. He bought it from the Redford. Now I don't quite remember what used to before my time
Mhm.
here. see.
Now, was it in orchards too, or?
No, they didn't work at the place. They had somebody else who worked in the place. I think they was working the city, and they
Mhm.
bought the ranch because it was cheap. And they got somebody to do some work.
Would they have cattle on it and things like that mostly, or?
Well, I don't know that.
Mhm.
See, I remember when Mr. Springhill was here.
Did he,
No, he had men, and he had a nice, a little orchard, and he had a nice flat that they used to plant the vegetable.
mhm. Now, when they sold the vegetables, would they take those into Oakland?
Well, I tell you, Mr. Springhill, he was filling all his flat there with where the Black Hawk Road.
Mhm.
He was putting only one crop, or cauliflower, or then he ship them. He used to ship them.
House, and you were telling me about Burton's grandfather.
Yeah, yeah. I met him. I met him over there in the old ranch. But I passed there to go and see a friend of mine. My name. What was his name? Fagundes. Tony Fagundes.
Did he
was,
live in what's
He
Morocco?
lived there just to pass. He bought a little ranch over there, past the Burton place over there.
Mhm.
And I passed there by, and I saw the Mr. Burton in time, but I don't quite remember when he died,
Mhm.
because we didn't have no business over there. You know, he was pretty busy here.
Now, Nat, could you drive your truck over or your car over into that area where there are roads?
Oh yeah, yeah. We used to drive. Yeah, yeah. It was a all dirt road, but in the summertime when the road was dry, you could go through the buggy or the truck. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was something like I would believe something like about 1930,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Getting back now to your place and your farming, tell me something about what you grew here and about the
Well,
work.
the most we had apple and pear, but the apple wasn't bringing enough. We couldn't compare our apple with Watsonville or with Sebastopol, because our apple I didn't have no water to irrigate them, and they were kind of small,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they didn't have no price. And that way I blew them out and I put pear. I put the wrong kind of a pear. I put the japaroot. The japaroot wasn't good. I put they was bottled all right, but didn't turn out to be okay. There was the best one was a French seedling. Then we put grafted the bottled pear on. Then they was okay, but the Japanese root wasn't good.
Now, did you plant the apple trees, or were they already
No, they
here
was
when
already
you
there.
moved in?
Yeah, those three there, they was already grown. They was already at least 30 or 40 years old when I came in the ranch.
Now, and was it all planted in apples, or?
Well, no, it was some pear, some plum,
Mhm.
and some peaches.
Mhm. And then you planted mostly pears, is that?
Then I planted mostly pear and peaches.
Do you know how many trees you had? Did you ever count them all?
We had about, I think it was something like 10 acres in fruit. Oh, I think could have been about, see, 10 acres would be about 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
See, 100 per acre, about 100 per acre. 10 acres would have been 1,000, 1,003.
That's a lot of trees.
Yeah, yeah. Then I plant more. Then I plant my vineyard. Then I plant about an acre of a vineyard.
Where were your vineyards?
Yeah, the vineyard was right there below Louis House.
Oh, uh-huh.
And we had another little piece back there where Jimmy House, right in the side here. About a quarter of an acre there.
Now, and you would grow the grapes to make wine, is that?
Made some make wine, and we were selling some.
Oh, you were selling?
Oh yeah, we sold some grape, yeah.
Uh-huh. And now, did you plant all these? Did you have help? Did you have?
Well, yeah, my wife was helping me, especially when we was picking. She was packing peaches or plant a few tomato, and she was packing a tomato while I was picking them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Was the work pretty hard, Nat?
oh yeah, we was working, well, 10, 12, sometimes 14 hours a day.
Uh-huh.
That's the time we was working 14 hours a day.
And this was the harvest time, and
Yeah, in the summertime
Mhm.
was the time when we was picking peaches. We had 14 variety of peaches.
14
14 variety.
said peaches. Oh, very good. Sounds nice.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yeah.
when we moved in, I think we had one of your old peach trees, but we don't
Oh
have.
yeah, used to be, down there used to be 7 trees of we used to call them Carmen,
Carmen? Uh-huh.
and there was other variety, some plum, some peaches, few pear.
Tell me a little bit about the farming operation. Would you have to plow the fields?
Oh
and-
yeah, we plow the field and cultivate 4 or 5 times in the summertime because we didn't have enough moisture, and we have to cultivate the ground to bring the moisture up from the ground. We didn't have no water to irrigate.
You didn't irrigate at
Oh
all?
no, we didn't irrigate at all. We didn't have enough water to irrigate. And of course we were spraying the apples about 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the pear didn't quite require so much spraying. That 2 or 3 times was enough. 3 times was enough for the pear, but for the apple they want to be spray about 5 times in the summertime.
That's a big job,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, tall trees. He was a big trees.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you have people working for you, or was it mainly your family that was helping you? You said your
we
wife.
done the best we could ourselves. And then I used to get the rural boy,
Mhm.
sometime at 2, the rural boy to help me with the hay when we was making hay, and when we was picking. And in later year, then we had some Filipino working for us for the picking pear, just for the season,
Mm-hmm.
just for perhaps a week or so.
Now, would they just
They would-
come in? Would
just
they?
a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. Would they camp around here, or?
Well, they had a place to camping. They had some place, I think it was in Concord,
Mm-hmm.
and they come here every day for about a week until the crop, the most of the crop was done, and then they move away from some other place where where they had late work. See?
How much would you pay them back then, an hour? Do you remember?
Well, right offhand, I can remember. I can't remember. But, I think it was something like $2.50 a day. Yeah, I think it was $2.50 a day. You know, $1, $2 a day, those days was a pretty good wage.
It went a lot further
Well,
then than it does
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
You see, we saw lots of fruit at 50 cents a box. Lots of it. Selling 50 cents a box. Say for 30 pound log. At time 40-pound log, you get 50 cents.
Oh, Nat.
Yeah.
When I think of what,
That's what was very poor.
that wasn't much, was it? No. What kind of machinery did you use other than tractors? Was that pretty much it? Or?
Well, we used to use, the plow and cultivate and rake and book rake to making hay.
And you had how many cows on your place?
5, sometimes 6.
Was that mainly for your?
No, we were selling the cream. We were selling some cream in the summer, in the winter time, in the fall or spring, because in the summertime they were dry. They dry up, and when they start to calf again, we sell the calf, and sometimes we raise 1 or 2 who are on to replace the old cow, and we skimmed the milk because it was we couldn't sell the old milk, see, and we were selling the cream to those where they make a cream, they make a butter. Those, no, I don't remember that. There was a factory to make a butter. No, I don't quite remember.
Was it in Walnut Creek or?
No, was in Oakland.
Most of the things you sold would go into Oakland?
Yeah,
You
almost
would-
everything.
And you would have to take it in and sell it to a wholesale market in there, or?
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Now, you were telling me the other day about picking peaches late at night, or no, you?
No, we pick them in the morning.
That's right, and
in the
pack
cool,
them.
cool of the day.
Uh-huh.
And then we put them on straw underneath in the shade of the tree. And then in the afternoon and toward the evening, we pack them when it was start to get cool, and the peaches was nice and cool anyway. And then we put them on the truck, and about 3 o'clock in the morning start to go to Oakland.
Oh, Nat.
Sure. I done that for, at least 25 or 30 years.
You did.
Yeah.
And you were telling me about you didn't have enough light, and so how did you?
Well, we had the little Model T Ford. When we bought it without the battery. There was a running on magneto. And when you go downhill, that you didn't need hardly any gas because you have to watch where you was going, and we didn't have hardly any light because the motor wasn't running fast enough. The magneto didn't make enough light. Then then a few years after, we bought a battery, and then it was a light all the time. See? But for picking, for packing peaches, we have to leave the truck running.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we didn't have no light. If the truck wasn't running, no battery.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Very good. Nat, let's see. We've talked about your peaches. Now your pears, they would have to be picked and then stored till they were ripe, or did you sell? Would you sell
Well,
them?
no, we were selling. Sometimes we sold them to the cannery, and sometimes we put them in the cold storage ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Through one of those wholesale houses. You see, we brought them into the cold storage in the wholesale house name. See,
Mm-hmm.
then they pick them when they need them for sale in their own place there. See, they pick them from the cold storage, bring them into the where they sell them, where they had the business to sell, and but we pack them, the best we knew, and take them down to the cold storage. They stay there a month, 2, 3 months sometimes.
I see. Did you make more money from the pears than the peaches?
Yeah, we were making more money from the pear than anything else. Even that sometimes we were selling them $20 a ton.
$20 a ton.
$20 a ton, $22 a ton. The cannery, they come around with $20, $22. They cost almost cost us $20 a ton, but you couldn't do nothing about it.
Was this during the Depression time? That
It was almost all the time.
All the time.
Only 1 year or 2 there was we had a frost early in the spring that they froze, and then one time they pay $100 a ton because it was so scarce. So Louis worried. I guess he needed me. Well, anyhow.